I have been to the unrendered side of the map. It's so beautiful.
G'day guys, I'm here at E3 2017. We're looking at Blasters of the Universe with...
Josh from Secret Location.
And Josh, what's your role at Secret Location?
I'm the technical director and the product lead on Blasters of the Universe.
So, in a nutshell, how would you describe Blasters of the Universe?
Blasters of the Universe is a VR bullet hell shooter. Big neon explosions, weapon customization, big boss battles, everything that's good in VR.
Yep. And so, for people that don't know what a bullet hell game is, how would you describe that?
A traditional bullet hell game is like a 2D side-scrolling, usually sci-fi based like spaceship shooter, where a lot of patterns of like bullets, a lot of color come onto the screen and you have to dodge in between them, pixels in between them. But we've taken that concept and put it into VR. Your head is now the ship, and you can move in full 360 degrees and dodge through those bullet patterns.
So can you tell us a little bit about the sort of game mechanics you've put in play here with this game?
Yeah, sure. So we have a weapon crafting system. So each of the guns is made out of 5 different pieces. And you can build a weapon to however your playstyle is, and we have like hundreds of different weapon combinations. And then on top of that, we have a bunch of different shields with special abilities as well. So you make your loadout how you want to play, then you go in there, and we've built this bullet pattern system so our game designers can paint on a 32 by 32 bitmap and do all sorts of crazy designs, pictures, and that sort of stuff to create that really like bullet hell, bullet pattern feeling.
With the boss battles, what have you been trying to kind of accomplish with those to separate them from the rest of the gameplay?
Yeah, so the bulk of the gameplay is quite intense and hectic. You have a lot of bullets coming at you, and then we want to sort of change the pace up with the boss battles a little bit, and then change the scale up as well, because that's something that really works really well in VR. Get those big bosses right up in your face, and then make them act in a way that is like different to the original bullet pattern. So we have like a lot of bosses. Who played the boss today that is like a rocket boss, and so he's shooting a lot of different rockets and it's flying around you. So you have to do a lot of spatialized awareness. And then we have like bosses with like big laser sweeping attacks and stuff like that. All of the bosses are like big stuff in VR, which makes it really nice to play.
I didn't get much of a sense of the story in the demo, but there is quite a deep story to it, isn't there?
Yeah, yep. We have a story, we have a campaign mode throughout the game. Essentially, our main villain, Grandmaster Alwyn, Virtual Space Lord, as he's named himself. His real name is Alan Fitzpatrick. He was that kid in the arcade, a couple of years older than everybody else, like bit of a chip on his shoulder, very good at arcade games. He puts himself into VR in the beginning of the 90s, and obviously that industry just collapses. And he's been in there by himself for 20 years. It's going a bit crazy, and he's built this thing up. And now we're going back into VR and trying to take it from him, and he's not really happy about it, but at the same time he's lonely. So he's like quite torn as to like how he feels about it. And he's a massive man-child as well.
So are you guys perhaps channeling like a little bit of Tron here?
Yeah, a little bit of Tron, a little bit of Rick and Morty, a little bit of like weird kids that we knew back in the day as well, and like that's sort of how we came up. If we were just like chatting about like like that sort of culture and like growing up in arcades and that sort of stuff as well.
And did you work on the story yourself then?
It was a collaboration with the team. Like everything that we do on the game is like a collaboration. It's very open, and people can pitch their ideas and that sort of stuff. And it was just sort of like a natural progression. And we got to a point where we sort of all had a picture of what he was in our head, and people started doing voices. They'd be like, oh yeah, and then he'd say this and they do the voice. One of the partners at the company actually would do the voice while we were doing these jams, and it ended up being that we just used him in the game. We just gave him a few beers and put him in a recording booth, and he just goes for it.
That's awesome. That's very Rick and Morty style.
Yeah.
Have you played the new Rick and Morty VR game?
Yeah, I have played it. It's fantastic. I love that show.
Do we have any a range of different play modes, or is there like a cooperative element or anything like that?
So we have a campaign mode and we have an endless mode as well. We have some other surprises in store that we haven't announced yet, or will be revealed in the next few weeks, because it will be full launch in the summer this year.
Beautiful. And what platforms are you guys launching on?
So we'll be launching on Oculus and HTC Vive. We're in early access at the moment on Steam, and we support both those headsets, but for full launch, we'll be on both their stores.
And would you eventually consider the PlayStation VR?
Definitely, we'd love to be on like as many VR platforms as we can, because I think that's really important for VR as a whole, to like get content across and not have like exclusives like locked to one platform. I think the ecosystem is just small enough at the moment, and it needs like all the content to be everywhere.
All right, so is there anything else you'd like to tell us about this game that we haven't already covered before we wrap things up a bit?
Follow us on social, Blasters VR on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. If you're at E3, come on down and play it. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it's good. I can confirm I have played it. It's pretty awesome. Give it a crack. Thanks.
Thanks for coming by. Cheers, mate. Cheers.